Hello and welcome back to blackgirlcouch Reviews. I'm your host Christina. It's been a while, but we're finally here to discuss the penultimate episode of Vikings Valhalla, Pecheneg. Written by Vanessa Alexander, directed by Emmer Conroy. This is the 7th episode in the 2nd season. I thought it was a good penultimate episode, and I gave it a 9.6 out of 10. It almost was perfect if we didn't have to at all segue to Jombsborg or to what's the other guy's name? That's how relevant he is to me at this moment. I forgot that he was even a relevant plot point until he got blessed, apparently. By the local bishop, so now he thinks that his mission is ordained by God.
Put your faith in the light.
Olaf, that's his name. And even so, he has more of a compelling arc than Freydis, who is by far the most annoying character in the series, for no other reason than she's pretty fucking useless other than what she says versus what she does. And we've belabored it enough, but it cannot be overstated, unfortunately, that we had such high hopes for this character of Freydis, and she just slipped very quickly into obscurity and has now crossed the line into, I don't want to see this character anymore. I would rather they be killed off. Maybe something will happen in the finale that will at least make me compelled to watch what she's doing in season 3, because we are getting a season 3. However, at this moment, I am totally aboard the Harald and Elena ship, and that's the only one I want to see sailing.
This is my OTP, I'll go down with this ship. I don't care, I don't care.
Disclaimer, by the way, if you hear giggling girls in the background, it's because I have a 4-child sleepover in my 2-bedroom apartment. One girl dropped her child off. Her mama was like, "You're brave." I'm like, "I'm something." Oh, but yes, that's where I'm invested. I don't really care what happens to Freydis, but they're preparing to basically, I mean, Gudrun talking about, oh, I allowed JoJo to be exiled. Fuck you allowed your child to have his hand chopped off. You could have, more than anyone else, stopped the problem before it became such a horrible. And I don't even know if they really showed her switching sides, unless it was just at that moment where you're like, oh no, I really did lose my son. Maybe I thought things would go differently and I could ask for mercy and he would be provided that, so on and so forth. But it's just not a very good storyline. But JoJo being rescued by Olaf at the end, now that's interesting, considering that Olaf has no idea. Even the map makers don't know where the Vikings Jombsborg settlement is. And it's very treacherous to get there, and only the people that are from that area know how to get to that area. Even so much where he's like, if you find out where it is, let me know so I can put it on the map. So I think that they have a pretty good defensive area. So JoJo has no reason, and he doesn't know his dad is dead, or his stepdad. He has no reason, and he doesn't know that Freydis is alive, to not sell them out. So I think that we are going to get some type of battle in the final episode that's finally going to be a deciding factor in this Kattegat storyline, because I need more things to be going on than what is happening. Now that we've gotten all of the C and D- storylines out of the way, let's get to the A+ one. We begin immediately with Leif waking up in the water. The ship going over a waterfall does exactly what it did, which was ground itself, but they are lucky that it did not shatter, and it can be salvaged and able to be put back onto water. However, the Pechenegs show up with only Miriam being found with Harald in the boat, and he gets her to hide so that he himself can be the only one captured by introducing himself as the Prince of Norway. I am worth something. Take me to your leader. And while they do search the boat, because they're like, how are you a prince, but you're also a slaver, and your slaves all conveniently drowned, they don't find anyone, and thus they do take Harald. But man, I said he needed to have pride before the fall, or something to that effect, that his pride needs to take a little bit of a beating so that he can find some humility. And this is another important, I think, factor in that, because here he is, this prince, as he pointed out, and I do forget that most of the time, that he is a prince. And he gets this noose around his neck, and he's dragged by a horse into this camp. And then when he's introduced to Tyrek, he says, bring him to my tent, versus I'm not even going to send him to the Khan, where the Khan can decide if he wants to negotiate or ransom him back to even his uncle, that is the king in Novgorod. Or Novgorod. He has all of the components there that would ensure that he at least maybe dealt differently, but it doesn't go that way. He's not seen as, he's actually called a Varangian, which those are a different type of Viking. But I like when he said that. He's like, yeah, I can see all these skulls that you're drinking out of, and that's cute and everything, but you ain't ever fucking fought no Viking.
It's the motherfucking Eagle Double G.
Snoop Dogg.
You know I'm mobbing with the D.R.E.
Yeah.
I know I started with Leif and then went over to Harald, but not much to address with Leif until we get back to the shore. And I wanted to get to this part first because Harald has nothing but his wits. And I think that it's telling that he is willing to sacrifice himself every time on behalf of someone else that he feels is under his protection. And that's Miriam as well. Like, she's trying to come out of the water. He knows that's Leif's girl, but he makes sure that she's taken care of. But I think if it was anybody else, he would have made that sacrifice. This torture scene was terrible. I mean, he really did prove that he's a fucking badass because he did not really want to let out that pain in a grunt. And first he's like, oh, okay. He showed him his scar. He's like, you talking all that stuff. And I love how Harald, again, using his words. Oh, you're going to kill me. Well, what kind of person does that make you? Sounds like you're a coward. You think that you're a badass trying to humiliate me in front of your people. But what? You tied me to a horse, dragged me through your camp, made it so I was weak so that I could not defend myself against you. Like, what's the point of that? But he straight says, like, we don't play these games. It did get into his head a little bit, but it also made him want to torture him, which I think this guy is just into torture anyway. And he takes a knife. His second command did it, but he put it through his skin, and then they took they tied ropes around it and then lifted him up from those ropes. That was not great. Not great at all. I felt really bad for Harald, but the fact that he was still staring that man in the face like, I'm giving you no satisfaction.
Harder, better, faster, stronger.
Now let's cut back to Leif. I'm so glad that he didn't think, oh, where's Miriam? And, not make it a Maggie Glenn situation where they're like, fuck everybody else. I'm about to go find my loved ones. He immediately goes to where the boat is. Like, we need to keep going downstream. We need to find the rest of them in the boat. They find Miriam. Everyone's reunited and they're happy. He's also rescued another one of the girls. I keep forgetting all of their names. I am so sorry. But Elena and the other two, they survive. However, Catelyn, we find out a little bit later, did not survive. Aww. I like the camaraderie between the males as well, because they're all concerned about Kyria. You see not only Batu, but Kasan, hoping that he's going to be okay. And then he ends up, surviving, and they're happy about that. And then when they all reunite, they realize Harald's taken, and Leif's like, I'm going to go after my friend because that's what we do. And he leaves the two men to help Miriam get the boat, because she's like, oh, I can use what I know to the dynamics of mathematics and gravity and all that shit. That's smart. For them to get the boat from being ungrounded. And they need the strength. But he and the other women are like, no, we're going with you. Or not he. Elena and the other two women are like, no, we're going to go with you. And then Batu even telling that one, here, when you use this, like, keep hitting, like, fuck them up, do what you gotta do, be savage with it. And I love that they're not treating these women like they are defenseless, sprites that need to be. Even Leif, when he's trying to protect them, he's just more like, no, this is a no-win situation. I'm not trying to protect you because you're female. He's like, no, you can come with me. But we just walked into an impossible situation when they finally do get to the camp. I love the scene where Carrio's like, I going with you because I know where the camp is. And then there's just one lovely scene where Leif just takes his hand and puts it on his back without even having to tell him, like, you're going to follow me. I love this group. I feel that there is a closeness with this group based on the moment we met them to what the challenges they've been through, that there truly is, I believe, the solidarity between them, where it's like, no, you're my friend. We look out for each other. And it's the same thing with these women, those slaves. They Batu handed over the knife. He's like, shit, fuck them up. Do what you gotta do. We on your side in this. So them going to the camp. Before they did go, because we saw Miriam grab a little vial of something, she gives it to Kyria and says, hey, there's only enough for one person. He's like, I thought you made this for you. She says, use it wisely, because he's announced that he's come to go back to the Pecheneg so he can kill his brother. He's trying to search for a redemption. So this poison is a way, I was thinking he was going to kill himself, not to kill his brother, and that was brilliant. They say, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Kyria in. Kyria says, look, once he asks for, he tells the Khan that I'm here, he's going to come with his army, and you're going to have to go because you're going to be outnumbered at that point. So he tells Leif to leave him behind, but Leif says, I don't want to. He also explains his religion, the Pecheneg beliefs of how they'll be reunited with their loved ones and turned into a bird, something to that effect. And this is how he wants to die, but Leif doesn't want to lose his friend. Like, there's no way in hell I'm leaving you behind. I truly think that he just told the women, like, hey, once we're outnumbered, the chances of you surviving outweigh everything else. So protect yourselves. Don't feel the need to protect us. And I don't think it was said in you're a sprite and can't take care of yourself way. It was more of it's your choice, but know that I'm not going to hold against you if you leave, because I'm telling you, you don't have to fight or die for me. He goes in and explains who Kyria is. He sends one of his men to tell the Khan. However, while he's able to get Harald down from being tortured, he himself is captured, and they're both taken out into the camp where they're tied down to wooden posts. And this guy really, he really likes to torture. I love that Leif made such quick work of him.
Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis.
Because it confirms that, you really were just a coward. And he took that knife and started cutting into Leif's back. And Leif's just like, what the fuck? He doesn't cry out either. He's just taking it. And Harold's like, or Leif still can make a joke. This is where you're like, you're happy to see me? He's like, no, this is when I asked, do you have a plan B? And while it didn't look like they were going to have a plan B, of course, Elena's like, not today.
I'm a boss ass bitch.
One of the girls, she slices the one guard's neck. They set fire to the tents. They release all the horses for a distraction. And they save both men. And then cause Harold is kind of fucked up really bad. And then they make their escape. Just as the consmen are coming, Couria's like, stop saving me. I need to die. But Leif, he really is, he simply can't allow people to die. But I think he does come to peace with it. That's what I mean. I think this is all about him realizing out of his very sheltered existence, you're going to lose people in this world that you like, that you love, that are a friend, that are enemies. Loss is simply what comes with it, but know that all loss doesn't mean sadness. Like for the case of Curia, this is something he wanted to do, and he was able to avenge his wife, because when they finally do get to where the shore is, he walks away to give them enough time to get the boat into the water, and thus he walks casually back to where his brother would stop waiting for him in the woods. And while his brother enjoys toying with him and calling him a coward that ran away while he murdered his wife, he tells him, I think you're the coward because you can't use your knife to try to kill me, and you're afraid of the blind man that's trying to kill you. And he's like, kill me? Yes. And then promptly blows that poison into his eyes, and we were all elated.
Oh my, I have found you, nigga. Don't you run from me, little nigga.
The fact that he made him blind before he died is even better. It's poetic. He was satisfied. His last order, though, was for his men to kill Curia. And Curia's like, I'm ready to come home. I'm coming home for you, baby. But unfortunately, them all watching this as they are getting away, Leif has to make the call. He doesn't want to have his friend tortured and suffering before death. So he ends up mercy killing him. And then you have another scene a little bit later where he's holding Miriam's hand. And he looks out and he sees a bird, and he goes, she asks, what is it? And he says, it's Curia making his way home. And I thought that was rather beautiful. Then there's the slight scene with, don't worry, I didn't skip Catelyn's death. The slight scene between Elena and Harold, where Harold's like, why did you come back for me? As she's tending to his wounds. And she says, because you would have done the same thing for any of us. Like, you're a good man. And then they shared a very long, close, and lingering look.
Got the nasty in my taxi. You need a lift. You can sit between the backseat of my dick.
But another really good scene just between the men and Miriam. Because they listen to Miriam because they're skeptical. They're like, how is this going to work? And then they're like, okay, we're going to pull. And then it works. And then that excitement between the two men, Batu and Kassan, like they have a clear brothership. And they're so happy. And then Miriam looks over and she sees the body of Catelyn in the water. Kassan is visibly upset, but they bury her. And he says she was a Christian. I love this acknowledgement of the religions, right? It's like you can be from different walks of life and believe in different things and still find commonality between you, still find friendship and still find love. He wasn't a Christian, but she was a Christian. And he says, I don't have any words to say about her that would be an honor to her religion. And Miriam says, I think it's just good to say what's in your heart. And he admitted that, you know, he liked being with her. She was good to him. And he thought with her, there was a future. There was something worth living for in this life. And that's all that really mattered between them. So I thought that was wonderful. And then Batu also just being a brother to his friend, not letting men be angry instead of actually mourn a loss. So I really liked that scene. I really liked everything about that side of the story arc. And now that they're almost on their way, they've really come to the last bit of their journey. I'm curious on how it's going to end. But man, they're going to end up in Constantinople with not much to show except for Elena. But Elena, I hope she ain't betrothed to someone else, because I need her and Harald to get together. Freydis can go on and die and he can raise his child. You know, this, when it was in development, they said that this show was going to possibly focus on, like, the main focal points are Leif Erikson, Freydis, Harald, and someone we've yet to meet, which is William the Conqueror. Now, I know we're not really close to Normandy, though. That's the thing. Constantinople is not anywhere near the French Empire. So I am curious on how they're going to manage to wove him into the story arc at all, or if they've changed their mind about that. I would love to see a William the Conqueror, Inception type of storyline, and integrating those with our people, because I do think at some point, like, something's got to give. I know that, well, they could change a lot about Freydis' story arc, but Leif, he needs to make his way across an ocean, and I'm pretty adamant about that. I do believe Harald's going to be the king of Norway. I'm pretty adamant about that as well. I don't care what they do with Freydis. I just don't think that she serves either man, because she very much is a non-factor at this point. Okay, let me stop dragging her, because that is all I want to seem to focus on. Because I'm looking at these three badass women on the other side, and then here's Freydis, this Norse-looking Viking woman who's just a disgrace to all of them, right? Let's jump into the feedback, because we have feedback.
What up, Stina? It's Mimi. This is feedback for Vikings Valhalla episode 7. So this is the penultimate episode of season 2. I don't know why we still are forced to be in Jombsborg, but I guess now that Olaf is bringing his dusty ass there, maybe something will come from this. The whole time we were forced to watch Freydis walking around with that dumbass smile on her face, bouncing around with the baby boy. I'm thinking, okay, so it's Uppsala now, and it's going to be good, and they're going to actually do something for the Viking people. So this will be exciting. I thought we would see them go find JoJo, because now that y'all know that nigga was lying and he didn't kill Freydis, clearly we can't give him his hand back, but we can at least bring him back into the fold and give him some type of title. It's the least we could do since we crippled the man. But no, this bitch is frolicking around doing fucking great, like, Miss America, Miss Universe waves, talking to the people. And even the boy's mama. Like, y'all not even gonna try to find him. I know y'all dropped him off in the middle of the fucking ocean, but nobody's gonna go look for the man? Nobody? Y'all just forgot he dead. He dead. That's fine. He dead. It's cool. We'll have him in spirit. And because of what y'all did to him, he probably couldn't even have made it to Valhalla, because he's somewhere in the boat dying. And I was like, I know this motherfucker not dead. And Olaf's old goofy ass is about to find him. And that's exactly what happened. I am so annoyed with this freaking storyline. And the only hopes that I have is that maybe now, that we actually saw Olaf going to, this Jombsborg. Maybe now the storyline will get interesting. I'm not sure. I feel like it's all going to end up where, Leif, Freydis, and Harald are all going to be together again. That's my only hope. And to be honest with you, like, I was so freaking irritated with the way this ends that I didn't even send feedback after I saw it. And now I don't even remember what the hell happened because I just couldn't believe that these dumbass hoes didn't decide to go back and find JoJo. Y'all got this man floating around in the ocean with a vendetta against you, knowing y'all got enemies. He knows just how to get there, and he's under the impression that his dear old daddy is still alive running things. So what kind of motive does he have not to give y'all motherfuckers away? He thinks Freydis is dead too. He thinks all of y'all bitches think he killed her, and he got nothing to lose. And I don't know about y'all, but I know revenge would have kept my ass alive just so I can find somebody who's looking for y'all and I can send them to you. And that's exactly what's going to happen because he has no idea that the new Uppsala is changing because Freydis is alive and y'all fucking rocked his daddy to death and that nigga's dead. This whole storyline was such trash and I hate that I had to watch it. I wish we could have just followed Leif and Harald and those boss-ass slave girls because even though one of them, poor babies, died, they were some boss-ass bitches. And I really liked them. And I'm sad that Kisan's Boothang didn't make it. But they were bosses from I knew for a fact that old girl was not going to listen to Leif and just run away. I was like, I don't think you understand the fact that, once they all got into the boat and Miriam was like, they took Harald, the Pechenegs took Harald, and Leif was like, I got to go find him. And they were like, Kisan and I think his name is Batu. It's either Batu or Baku. I think it's Batu. I'm going to call him Batu because I think that's it. They were like, we're going to go with you. And he's like, no, y'all got to stay and get the boat together. And then the girls were like, okay, we're coming. I was like, okay, I see you, broads. I fucking love you. And when we couldn't find the old one girl, I assumed she was dead. I didn't think she was going to be under the boat. Now, that shit was sad as fuck. But I knew that them wanting to go, they were going to want to fight. And they're all so brave and they're all so smart. I freaking love them. I don't know if they're going to be a part of the story now. I'm thinking. I got the vibe that Harald was going to have some type of connection, kinship, friendship, respect for the girl that I think she is, I don't know if she was promised to the emperor, or if she is an empress, and that's her dad was getting her there because she's supposed to take over. I feel like she's gonna have some type of significant standing, and I think that she's gonna end up giving Harald, maybe not the title. He's already a prince, but he wants to be king, but he's already a prince. So giving him some type of, significant, prize for helping her get there. And the fact that she was willing to sacrifice, her life just to make sure Leif, Harald, and the blind Pecheneg, I keep wanting to call him Lolo, but I know it's not like Lord Kieran, La Kieran, something like that. I'm going with Lolo because I can't remember. It's like Lo something or the other, or it's like La something or the other. Maybe I should just call him Kieran because I know Kieran is in it. And Karen is a nice name. That whole storyline was like really interesting, and I enjoyed seeing. Oh my God, I just want to talk about what happened to Harold, because Lord have mercy. I could not watch it, and I was like, I know now that Shy isn't following, because when I was watching it I wasn't sure, but that would have been it for her, because that when they put that thing in his chest and he was like, your muscles will keep it from tearing, I was like, what is he about to do? And then when he did it, I almost threw up in my mouth. I couldn't watch it. I was just listening to the sounds, and the sounds were enough for me my stomach was turning. Like, it was so god awful. That was terrible. But he did take it like a boss, because I always think about, them being, getting into Valhalla and that mindset of Vikings. Like, and I know Harold's a Christian, but he's still a Viking. So, showing like fear, in the face of danger, or like crying out, or like screaming for mercy, that's not something they do. And whether you're a Christian or not, he's still a Viking. And, I knew he was going to take that shit like a boss, but it was just too much. Even fucking Leif, when he was getting like, I think the guy was like cutting in his back, they were going to torture him. Like, all of that shit was like really like gruesome. And I all I was thinking was, oh my God, how long is this going to go off? But I knew the girls were going to come, because I knew for a fact that the Pechenegs were not going to let Harold go. All I know is that Leif's idea wasn't the best. Like, he should have had a backup plan. But lucky for him, our girls did. And they went in there like some bosses. Old girl with that axe, she didn't even hesitate. She straight murked dude. And then they like set out, they caused a diversion with letting the horses go, setting tents on fire. That shit was dope as hell. And when Kieran, that's what we're going to call him, the blind Pecheneg, when he, at the end, I was like, there's no way they're going to be able to get him back on that boat if they want to make it, because like that dude's not going to stop chasing him. Even if they get on the boat, they're going to be right behind him. So I knew he was going to sacrifice himself. But when he told us, like, what his plan was, he's like, I want to be reunited with my wife. Like, it's been a long time, and I want to be with her. And I could tell that was going to like be the thing Leif held on to. Because I feel like he could understand it. He didn't want to go to Valhalla, like that's not in his mindset anymore. But he also understands, wanting to be with the person that you love, and him turning into a bird and going. That was very I thought it was very poetic. And they even saw a bird, and it just meshed with Leif's beliefs and understanding that there's other religions out there, and maybe being a pagan isn't the only one. It doesn't necessarily make the other ones wrong, but you can only believe in what you believe. And I thought it was very, very sweet. And then when he took that thing that Miriam gave him, and instead of like taking it for himself, he like killed his brother. Like, that shit was dope. Now the Pechenegs don't have a leader, their big leader at least, and then I'm pretty sure, like, I know Leif was fighting old dude. Like, it didn't seem like he wanted to kill him, but old dude thought he was fucking with the lame, and Leif took his ass out, and that was the other leader of that group. So now that they don't have a leader, so that'll leave them vulnerable for a little bit. Maybe it'll allow another group to at least get through. The Vikings can maybe trade for a little bit now that the Pechenegs are going to be in disarray. But the whole powder thing was dope as hell. But that must have been the thing that Miriam was like gathering when Leif thought they were eating berries. Like, oh, are these edible? Like, no, I'm gonna turn them into powder that'll kill me in a second. Yeah, it was pretty cool. This was probably my favorite episode. Even though we had to deal with the ending, and even like I feel like it was probably done on purpose. But when Olaf ran into the priest and he was giving him the blessing, like that whole scene was so like, I don't know if homoerotic is it just had like a sexual undertone around it when he was like kissed his ring and he was like blessing him. I was like, is this supposed to give off fucking creepy pedophile vibes? Because that's what I'm getting. And I know those were two grown men, but that whole aura around that scene just made me fucking cringe. It was so gross and so like yuck. I just I don't know if I believe that there has to be something out there. I don't know if it's like just, man-made, if they, the gods walk the earth. I don't know. I don't want to believe that we're just here alone, because that's just very morbid and sad. Like, there's not a higher being here, to protect us. I feel like that, like, believing in nothing is too sad for me to do that. But I just, religion, like, the more I learn about history, thank you, Christina. And the more that, like I read and stuff like that, even fantasy type of things, like religion is so corrupted because humans are corrupt. And it seems like the more power you get, the more power you want, the worse it gets. Even like you think about the people who have so much money that they don't know what to do with, they start doing and needing to do the most abnormal, obscure, like morality bending type of things. Like, it's just humans are innately flawed. So any kind of religion we have is going to feel that way because that's how we are. And, I just don't have that belief system anymore. Like I said, I don't want to believe that there's nothing out there in the world, but it's so hard for me to believe in a religion, like an organized one, because there's so much history behind it that makes you like, how can we as humans act like we're so great and we're so much better than other groups, that maybe, like, for instance, aren't Christian, when we've been doing some fucked up shit for fucking centuries. It's just crazy. Anyway, I don't know how you felt about this episode, but for the most part, I think that the parts that I enjoyed, like the Pecheneg part, that stuff over, like, it was so much, it was so good that it made, like, the whole Jombsborg thing not as annoying. And I don't know, if they did go to England, I don't remember, but at this point, I don't care. That Godwin, Canute's back, so hopefully we see him again in this finale. But, other than that, I really don't have much to say. So, and then let me know if there's going to be a season 3. Usually, like, when I log into Netflix, when I end a show, it'll tell you, but I haven't watched the last one yet, and I haven't logged into Netflix, so I don't know. But if you heard anything, let me know. So I'm going to end it here. Until next time, love, peace, hair grease, and black girl magic. Queen of the couch, Mimi out.
That was Queen Mimi with her thoughts on the episode. Some really good insight, too, about the corruption of religion and how it can be something quite pure in the believer's eyes, and yet manipulated and warped and utilized as a tool in other hands. And I think that is a really good examination of one's relationship with religion as well. I mean, I never try to tell people who, what, that's up to you, I can only tell you what I believe, and I've already stated as much, but there is a difference too, though, of people who are believers, but they're using it with a corrupted soul, so to speak. They're using it as a political tool versus something that has to do with one's morality or even belief in what their own purpose on this earth is. I think everyone comes to that conclusion at their own pace and with their own conclusions. But I think simply there's my alarm. Simply what many others have a hard time, like myself, dealing with more so when you go back into the historical accuracy of it all, is the fact that it didn't, the masses were the believers were those that had no power. But then once you have power, then how do you then use that? Do you still, because there's kings to this day who honestly like Catholicism because of the indulgences. That tells you I can do whatever the fuck I want, but all I gotta do is pay my way into heaven. And that was what they genuinely believed. So So it's like they have an idea of something, and some of it's catering to absolution in retrospect, which is problematic, which is why Protestantism was much more, for particularly the people, an attainable thing. It's like, okay, well, I can't pay to get out of every fucking bad thing I ever did. But if I don't have to do that and all I have to do is be a better person, if anything, the religion, you would say Protestantism took a lot of that religious control away from Catholicism, which is why it's the most prevalent right now. No, that's not true. Because actually in Europe, Catholicism and America is very, very, like, you go in some countries though, like in London and England, they're not religious. Like most of them, they're not. They'll say, yeah, we're not religious at all. We don't believe in anything. But if you go to Christian nations, or if you go to like certain other nations, I wouldn't say atheism, agnostic is becoming far more prevalent. And I think in another 20, 30 years, even another 100, is it to say that, those? No, because it's been around too long. But I do think more people are coming to, now that we have the capacity for science and reason to override superstition and fear, more people are taking a harder look at these things that are being told and taught to them. I don't want to get up too much on my soapbox about that, but you brought a good point up about Olaf and the sexualization of what should be something that is very much a spiritual thing, and yet there's a a reverence there. That's the right word I want to use. A reverence there that is unhealthily so. He's in what we would call fanaticism, part of this. That's where Floki is, where they're so morally or even ethically, they want to have the moral high ground with their own religious beliefs, but they're not above utilizing those in ways that may not speak to religion, but to personal desire. I think that with Olaf, that scene that they were showing with him, because it's been is it political, or is he, no, he really believes that the divinity of Christ is better than and should be followed versus these Vikings, these Jombsborg that he technically has familial ties to, right? Everything that came before that he would know for his own was not Viking, it was pagan. But hey, Christianity is going to get you power. So doing things in the name of Christianity, well, that's going to get you recognition by the church. What does the church have? Power, money, influence, everything that you need to get forward in this world. But here you are committing acts of what they tell you not to do in the Bible. Pretty sure it's like one of the commandments, not to kill. We're going to go out and do that because we're doing it in the name of the Lord. You mentioned possible, everything else you said I agreed with. You mentioned possible disarray with the Pechenegs. That could be a storyline they could pursue in the future, but I don't genuinely think they will. I think that this time in history, I think they'll just pretty much, they'll make, like, the Pechenegs kind of remind me a little bit of the Mongols. You're going to have those types of groups all the time. And then once you've already secured, all it takes is you cut one head off the snake, another one's going to appear. He's got a right hand. If he had no power, then they would not, at that man dying, do his final order. Right? Because usually you take out the king. Some might give you the throne. You take out the king here, no, you get killed, and then they'll talk amongst themselves on who's taking his spot. Now, are they going to be just as effective? Who's to say? It could cause the disarray, but I can also see it being a non-factor in the future, or possibly not. I don't know. But that is all I have to say on this episode. I can't wait to the finale. This is very much what we have been looking forward to all this season. I agree. This is one of the best episodes they've done. Oh yeah, you so right. Why didn't they go find JoJo? Why didn't they go find JoJo? Why would you not, even the one people that were in the boat and he said, look, this man is bad. Y'all stoned him to death and you were like, oh man, we should probably go get him. It's not like he's already dead. It's been less than 5 hours. It feels like. Maybe 8 if you're pushing it. And I'm with you. I agree. I think Elena is going to give Harald the power that he needs to go back and really confront, because it's not, I don't think Olaf that he has to really worry about in this scenario. It's Knut's crazy ass daddy. Knut, I think, honestly, would have given him the throne. But because Knut now needs his father, he's in a compromising position. And now his father's like, no, I want your son here, or my grandson here. And I have a feeling that we're going to be dealing with the father versus Knut, since that is he's going to have to take that back from him, and he's going to have to do it in a way that doesn't necessarily, I mean, you need an army just so you can have a presence, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go to war. But, that's who I'd be concerned about. That, I think, is, everything now that I covered in my notes that I wrote down. Yes, I believe it is. If you want to send feedback for our finale, which I will be recording tomorrow, Saturday, blackgirlcouch@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment below. I actually will be moving my recording schedule to mostly Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, because during the week it will be an impossibility. Now with my new role, I'm just not going to have it's one of those where I'm going to be done when I'm done and not done when because the clock says so. And thus I don't want to set myself up for failure, or even in that mindset during the week. I'm like, you know what? It was easy when I wasn't actually physically on the phone talking to people every day and messing with a whole bunch of things like math and calculation and injuries. So yeah, just know when you see the calendar coming out for the first week of March, everything will be pushed to the back half. I think I've talked enough. Until next time, peace, hair grease, and black girl magic.